Hey all, and welcome back to Fuzzy Ducksy Gaming and episode 5 of my hunt for a Mageblood. So this episode I managed to farm up and purchase around 400 Astragalis. It was a little bit short of the target I wanted to get to, but I didn't have as much playtime as I'd hoped for. I did manage to get a couple of Tusion logbooks as well with a decent layout, and I found Danig in a couple of maps. So I was able to get a decent amount of Tusion currency to do a bit of a section this episode on the Tusion gambles. So before we talk about the reroll luck, I wanted just to mention some Atlas tree changes. I'm not going to show the tree. I've now dropped Breach just because I wasn't finding it particularly profitable. Yes, it adds like monsters to maps and stuff, but you have to hang around for the breaches. With Expedition that I'm doing as well, and I have to hang around in that, I decided to replace Breach with Ritual. For no other reason other than I've not really focused on Ritual before, so it's just something as a change. So I'm not doing anything with sextants or anything like that. I'm just taking the nodes on the tree. As I get blood-filled vessels through either Tusion or from rituals, I'm using them to force ritual into the map. Not had anything amazing yet, but I've had some decent currency in terms of X shards, ancient orbs, stuff like that, and it's definitely making a decent profit. So it's something that I'll carry on for now. So I just want to mention something that I touched on in the last video, and that was that in one of our previous episodes, I think it might have been episode 2, I got a div card from Stack Decks, which was one for a level 4 Enlightened. And I mentioned I was going to try and gamble this all the way up to a max set, which was 11 cards. So in the last episode, I turned it into 4 cards that were gambled up. And then on the live stream I did over the weekend, I actually turned them into 12 cards. Basically, every gamble I've done on this has pretty much doubled the cards. So I've now got an Enlightened 4 worth around 19x, which is currently on my Winter Orb character. And then I've got 1 card left over to start the gamble again. I also still have the Nurse card from one of the previous episodes, which again, I'll stick in a gamble as and when I find one in Harvest. And to be honest, it's a good job, because as you can see from the footage that's running in the background now, yet again, Gwenin returned absolutely nothing. And that's around 900 rerolls now, which at today's price of... it's about 2.7 chaos per Astragali if you buy them in bulk, and it leaves the gamble at around 19x, so it's basically a good job that I found that level 4 Enlightened, because that's going to cover all of the costs. Now, if we put that aside and say, you know, not everyone's going to do that, and it was very lucky that I gambled that up, Tusion is helping massively with the sustain in the cost of the gamble. We've had really good returns on his rerolls, and this set was probably the best we've had. So the footage is running concurrently in the background at the moment, but I'll just bring up the tab from the last lot of rerolls. Now I haven't got the footage right in front of me, but I'm pretty sure it was only around 40 rerolls that I had. And we end up with this tab of loot here. So we've got 1x, 8x shards, 7 ancient orbs, tons of chaos, some divine orbs, got splinters, some decent currency. These are either lockpicking or deception logbooks. I'm only taking scarabs that I'm going to use or I'm going to be able to sell. A couple of fossils that are worth some money. They're neither here nor there. But overall, it's really, really good return. And if I was to sell all of this, it'd probably be looking at about 5 exalts for this. And that's a really, really good return. And we've consistently, or I've consistently seen really good returns from Tusion in this gamble. And it actually really helps sustain this as a full-time farming method. Because if we just concentrated on Gwenin and we go another, let's say we go another 900 logbooks without getting anything, 900 rerolls without getting anything, that's another 19x down the pan, and that starts to be very, very hard to sustain. I would also say Danig offers a really good amount of reroll tokens if you can find him in maps. He seems to be quite rare. I've also not had him on any logbooks. Even though the currency is worth selling, I'm always using it because you can get like, you might get 3 Astragalis and 2 exotic coins in one reroll. That's well worth the money. And you've got the off chance to get a logbook, although that has been quite rare. I think I've found 2 logbooks from Danig through this entire process. It also shows what I backed up before, really, in that Tusion, if you've got the actual raw currency to go along with your rerolls, is much, much more profitable to use his inventory window than to sell the reroll tokens. Now, it's not going brilliantly. Yes, we've had some luck and Tusion's have been quite good, but the overall farm, as expected, to be honest, we're closing in on 1,000. We haven't got anything. Not unusual. Well, I wasn't necessarily expecting to get it within the first 1,000, but because we're able to sustain it, I can basically keep going on with this farming method in cross-fingered hope that we eventually get something like a headhunter, a squire, or a mageblood. And it's given me something to target at this stage of the league. I'm getting really bored of just grinding map after map after map, then grouping up all the currency and selling it. It's getting a bit of a chore. So logbooks is just something different. It's different content, and that's sort of the reason I've picked Ritual to go alongside with everything else at the moment, just because it's not content I've really done before. Even in Ritual League, I did not interact with it that much. So it's just nice to do something that's a bit different. To go along with that, when I'm mapping, I've now decided to try and unlock every Archnemesis recipe, because when I look in my inventory here, you'll see that I've got quite a lot to learn. So if we go in here, I've still got 20 undiscovered recipes, and that's with farming a little bit. The reason for this is Grimro brought his video out quite early about the Treant combo, and that's all I've been doing, and that's all I've been picking up. So there's loads of recipes I haven't even discovered. So what I want to do, which will form part of a future series, is try loads of different combos and maybe bring out some results of not just the currency they return, but how often you actually get these reagents and the frequency in which you can use them. And then you work out sort of profit per map, profit per hour, whatever you want to do. It's just to look at realistically how certain recipes are easier to sustain than others, because there are lots of people who will say, oh, I got 6x from this combo, but the combo takes a week to farm, and then it makes it just not worth it at all as like a sustainable method. So that's something I think I'm going to do in the near future. But back to the actual point in hand, which is farming for a Mageblood. Again, unsuccessful, but it's as expected. Next episode, again, is hopefully going to be between 300 to 400 reroll tokens. Again, if we get twos and stuff, we'll put that in a separate tab and we'll price that up and see how we get along. But thank you for dropping by and checking on my fruitless journey. As always, thanks for watching, take care, and see you in the next video.